So the malaria drug that they want to use is in shortage, and these drugs will always be in shortage because it's not an issue that the modern world really deals with. It's not something that is a big deal unless you're in, say, Kenya. Now, there's this drug here that's quite different than one they're suggesting use for COVID-19, but I think the only reason why they might even have any drugs here for use is because a lot of the trials are in different countries that have less stringent testing because they need them, and we didn't until now. So, however this works out, the malaria drug is going to be in shortage. What we do have, or what certain companies do have, they are going to donate, and it looks like the donation is going to be around 10 million after about 30 days, and hopefully that will be enough for what we need. There's around 300 million Americans. It's suggested that 20% of the populace will get this with severe cases. And so that's going to be a pretty high number. I'd say probably way more than 10 million. So let's go ahead and see how that works out, because these doses are usually not just taken once. A single patient might need more than one dose. So the chances of this actually being available for, say, 1 million people is not going to be likely. So there's other things here as well. So this article goes over the drug, which is called Tevia, and it also talks about how it's also used and approved for testing malaria, lupus, and rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, so those are the current conditions that it is treating. So I'm wondering how many people are going to have a problem getting their meds now that this is going to be widely used for other things that are considered national security issues. Hopefully that's not a problem, but we're going to see. The news will start to unwind. People's accounts are going to start to be present, so we'll see how that works out. Now, this is on the list of shortages as of March 19th. It looks like, and God help us, it might be one of the drugs that were made. There's a list of 140 drugs. I think it might be 180 that were key components were made in China, if not China and India. So this is part of the 18-month plan to handle coronavirus pandemic. And I think if we know how this unfolds, within a very short time, Italy started to see numbers go from single-digit numbers to now triple-digit numbers. So this will be effective to have when it is available for the general populace. So the other interesting stuff that I've seen, a great article from Drug Topics, and I got a lot of the information there on the shortage issue. But more importantly, there's contradictions here. And it clearly says that the contradictions, one of them are presence of retinal or visual field changes. Okay? So patients with known hypersensitivity to this, so there'll be some people that just won't be able to take it because they're hypersensitive to it. And long-term therapy in children. Nobody wants to talk about that. It's bad politics if we can't help our children. So this definitely seems like something that we're not going to be throwing at the children too quickly. Sounds like the overdose can happen pretty quickly in children. That's not unusual. And they go on to talk about the general warnings of this specific drug. I did find this underneath the companies, or under a certain company. Let's see, druglabels.com. It has information about this drug and the drug from its manufacturer. The manufacturer has to provide some of these things here. So it says children are especially sensitive to this drug. That is the scientific name for it, 4-aminoquinoline compounds. Oh, it's part of this family, I think, is what they're referring to. A number of fatalities have been reported following the accidental ingestion of this type of drug, sometimes in relatively small doses. Now that's 0.75 grams. Normally the dose is around 0.25 200 grams or 0.128 of active dose. So that's not likely to happen, but it says here patients should be strongly warned to keep these drugs out of the reach of children. Okay, that's a smart idea. And it says here patients with psoriasis may precipitate a severe attack of psoriasis. All right, so one of the individuals or group of individuals that are at risk of having complications are those who have autoimmune disorders or immune system disorders. And I'm pretty sure for psoriasis is one of them. So this isn't going to be the slam dunk for those with psoriasis. The other one here, I'm not quite familiar with this, is propyuria. The condition may be exacerbated with this type of malaria drug. So those are two groups that might need it, might need a therapeutic, but they won't be looking towards this drug. Usage in pregnancy. Okay, it should be avoided except in the suppression or treatment of malaria. Now this is going to be the other FDA approved. They're going to fast track this. And the physician obviously has to outweigh the benefits, the possible hazards. It should be noted that radioactively tagged chloroquine administered intravenously to the mice. The mice always get it first. Okay, I might have cut it off there. But when this was administered to mice, right here we go, it passed rapidly through the placenta so that it's saying the drug entered the placenta, accumulated selectively in the melanin structure of the fetal eyes. Okay, so then it embedded itself in the cells of the eyes and was retained in ocular tissue for 5 months after the drug had been eliminated from the rest of the body. Okay, so we don't know what kind of problems that could occur or happen with real humans if that drug is just sitting in the ocular tissue of newly developed fetuses or babies. So it doesn't look great for mice. They're just telling you the information, though. I cannot speculate what it means for humans, but definitely not something they suggest for pregnancy for these scientifically observed reasons. Okay, so let's see. Precautions. General antimalarial compounds should be used with caution in patients with hepatic disease or alcoholism. All right, so if you already have liver issues, not going to be the drug they're going to want to use for you. Okay. So, or in conjunction with known hepatotoxic drugs. And there are several of them out there that can be very toxic. I think one of them might be fungal. We've seen the articles in the past that there's a lot of fungal issues going on. They are in the hospitals. We don't know which hospitals because it's something that they do not have to tell us. It says periodic blood cell counts should be made if patients are given prolonged therapy. If any severe blood disorders appear, which is not attributed to the disease under treatment, discontinuation of the drug should be considered. So severe blood disorders, another group that might need it, and they cannot get it because this would not be the drug for them. The drug should be administered with caution. Patients having G6PD, which I forgot what it was. I did study this and I have forgotten. Glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency. You may or may not know that you have G6PD deficiency. And if you have to take this drug and you don't have anything else, you might find out later that you do have that, or maybe they don't find out. Maybe they don't ever find out. So overdosage, the compound, this family of compounds, are very rapidly and completely absorbed after ingestion, and an accidental overdose, or rarely with lower doses in hypersensitive patients. Toxic symptoms may occur within 30 minutes. Okay, so they go on to tell you what would be the indications of toxic ingestion, and the more specific that they would probably be looking at is respiratory and cardiac arrest. Okay, which is not good because Respiratory and cardiac issues are what will arise with this new virus. Electrocardiogram may reveal atrial standstill, nodal rhythm, prolonged intraventricular conduction time. So essentially your heart's beating at a slower rate because the electrical signal is being slowed. And that may be an indication of overdose. Progressive bradycardia, which is you're going to be breathing a whole lot less, leading to ventricular fibrillation or arrest. All right, so that's not good because we want the heart to work. We're gonna need breathing. And it says treatment symptomatic and must be prompt with immediate evacuation. Okay, so then they need to get the drug removed, and the result is they would have to put you on a ventilator, and there's a shortage of ventilators. So if this is a drug they're trying to give you in order to keep you off a ventilator and you're in one of those groups and they don't know it, or if you're not in one of those groups and it just so happens that you go through a overdose, a ventilator is going to be the next thing they're going to do even after they use the charcoal on you. Okay, so as soon as it's just, if things go south, they're going to need a ventilator, and those are going to be in short stock. So it sounds like this could be used for maybe somebody that might be healthy but maybe going down the severe route, and it's just going to be that golden moment, that call for the doctor. I'm sure with some expertise and understanding of these conditions, they're going to know when to use this, but it's going to be a pretty hard clinical trial of this, because it's likely they're going to try this on some people and not have a full understanding of its effects, and it just might not always work. It might actually make things worse, and that's exactly what it's saying. I flipped through these pages fairly quickly. Here just talks about more about what kind of malaria actions it has and how it's supposed to be treating sudden effects of malaria. But that's it. That's the background on the malaria drug, and so now you know that this isn't the perfect silver bullet for our new virus problem. Thanks for watching.